thought occurred to me. We were in Seattle, Renee and I, visiting a couple, and we were going to be asking that evening to come to LCC. And only later did we find out that they both had decided that evening if one would say yes, the other would say no, and vice versa. And so that's where we went into dinner with them. At the end, they both said yes. Well, little did I realize in March of 1999 that I would observe a miracle in process. And a good definition this morning, God intervening in the lives of ordinary people. A little bit of background, we had some facilities. We had the Karklu dorm, we had the Malaninku facility, but we started dreaming about having our own facility. And Jimmy New was president, and he challenged, commissioned Dalius Butkus, who was a recent graduate in 1996, to find us a campus. He found 6 or 7 opportunities around Kaipeta, but after thorough examination, none of them would work. Then, one day, this property came to his attention. And here was a situation which was somewhat convoluted for the investors. It turned out great for LCC. A group of doctors were building a clinic, an eye clinic here, which I guess would be the Fair Center now, and they were it was a half-structured, built with concrete, and they ran into some difficulty. They had enough money to finish the whole property. To save all their investment was in 3 banks, but unfortunately all 3 banks collapsed. So here they were in a situation where they at least wanted to get their investment back, so they approached us after examination. It was just the right fit. And then thankfully, when we purchased the property, then Arch and the owner of the Fair Foundation came alongside. We finished it with the help of some other donors, and so we had a beginning. Then not long after that, through the generosity of the Michaelsons, the idea of a gymnasium was established. But then we thought, we need an entire campus. This will take $10, maybe $15 million. We need even a larger miracle. These were great miracles already in process, but we needed something larger. Then I go back to March of 1999, or 99, right? And little did I realize that day that there might be another miracle that could really finish this campus with all the buildings. Back in my hometown, I had met an elderly gentleman, and I had listened to his stories for 2 years. He had escaped from the former Soviet Union. He'd been on the run for many years, and so finally in the 1950s, he arrived in Canada, became very wealthy, and over the last couple of years, he had been asking me to buy a piece of property in Abbotsford. For whatever reason, I wasn't comfortable. But I listened to many of his stories. He had many, many scars from the past. One day, I believe it was a God-given thought, to call Dr. Neufeld and get together with him and talk about the property, which I did. He was overjoyed, thinking for sure now Dennis Neumann was going to be buying this property. But when I got together, and again, it was a God-given idea, I said to him, Dr. Neufeld, I think you should give this property away. He said, give it away? It's worth millions of dollars. And I said, I know it is. And in my mind, I thought we could turn those millions even into more millions if we developed it, leveraged it right, and so on. But I said, Dr. Neufeld, you're living with a lot of scars. You have had a very rough life, and you have so much bitterness in your life from the past. And it was the past when he was 18, 20 years old in the former Soviet Union. And I said, here's your opportunity to give good to where you've been hurt. And he was silent. He said, do you think I could do that? And I said, well, I'm asking you to do that. And he said, well, let me think of that. I'd never thought of that as an option. So I thought, wow, here is a possibility of a miracle in the making. So he went away, and then a number of days later, came back and said, Dennis, we're going to do it. Wow, it's amazing. So we did it. Now, I'm collapsing the story because that was maybe a 6-month process. But through that process, that land was given to the Canadian charity. The Canadian charity took that land in Abbotsford, We leveraged what was just a few pieces of land into a few hundred residential units, developed them, sold them, and all the profits then went to LCC. It was an amazing gift. And so when you look around this campus now, besides the generous gifts of the people that I mentioned, plus a few other millions given by other very generous people, and we can't go into all those details, this miracle, this one major gift, really helped complete the entire concept here. So what you see today is a campus which is debt-free. I mean, that is amazing. For a young university like this, to have such a beautiful campus, and we were sharing a little bit with a few people today that these campuses, these facilities rival really any university as far as their quality, and we can only be thankful. So is this a miracle? Absolutely.